Welcome to the Woodshop, my friends. Don't really know what this channel is going to be yet. I just wanted to let everybody see our journey. I want to thank everybody first off for the last year. It's been incredible. We're doing things a bit differently than you typically see on YouTube, which is people usually start a YouTube channel and attempt to display that they are creating a business out of woodworking. We did it the opposite way, which is the way that I think everybody should do it, which is starting your business first, and then if you want to share what you do, you make a YouTube channel, which is exactly what we're doing. You guys see our posts on social media, but we figured this is an excellent opportunity to give you guys behind the scenes look at how our stuff is made, how our shop is run, and just let you guys get to know us a little bit better. So let's do that. If you guys are expecting awesome camera work, you're not going to find it here. I have no idea what I'm doing. My face looks orange in this video right here. No idea why. Don't know how to fix it. Not even going to think about it. If you guys are looking for a beautiful shop, also not going to find it here. A lot of YouTubers have really pristine looking shops, and we don't have that because we use our shop and we use it all day long every day. So I'll give you guys a vacuum, and that's about the extent of beautifying my shop. So let's do it. On this first video, I thought a good place to start would be to bring it back home. I started this business making 4 cutting boards. I had enough money to make 4 cutting boards, and I sold them, got enough money to make 8, kept going, and here we are today. So I'm going to bring you along today with me. Hopefully I can get some great camera angles and show you guys how we make one of our Artisan cutting boards, which are my absolute favorite ones to make. So let's do it. Right, I lied. I said that the orange wasn't going to bother me. It was. Figured it out though. Pushed a button, we're not orange anymore. Small victory for today. So for those of you who aren't aware of how we have our website set up, we have what's called an Artisan board, which is you can get them in small, medium, or I think small, large, and extra large. They're essentially a typical cutting board, with the one exception of every single one of them is unique. Every single one of them is made obviously by hand by me, but every single one of them is one of a kind. I come out into the shop, and that's what I love about being able to make them is there is no plan. I don't come into the shop with a plan like I do most of our other boards. I just come out here, start cutting wood, and whatever I can think up in my head is what you get. And that's been a huge selling point, and it's got a lot of appeal to it because people want one-of-a-kind stuff. So the first place that we need to start is digging out some wood. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but we're just going to find some nice woods. So let's see what we got. We got to make an Artisan board. I think for this board, I'm definitely going to put some hard maple in it. This stuff is probably one of the best woods that you can use for a cutting board. It's rock solid. It'll last forever. So we love using hard maple here. I think I'm definitely going to put some of this African Wenge in. This stuff is jet black. It's hard as a rock, and it's absolutely beautiful once it's oiled up. What else do we got back here? I think we're going to do some cherry and some walnut, and I think we might do a little Padouk this time. Padouk comes from Africa as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of got an orangish color to it right now, but when you oil it up, it'll get a little more red looking. So let's do that. Let's pull all this wood out, and then we'll get it chopped down to size, and we'll get started. Alright, so we got our woods cut out here. Cut down the size rather. We got cherry, walnut, African wenge, we got some hard maple, and we got some Badook. So the next step is we need to rip these down into strips. This is a part of the job, making these boards, that I absolutely love because I have no idea what I'm going to do. I just start ripping strips, and then once I get a bunch of strips, I start putting them together and seeing what looks good, what doesn't look good. So we're going to do that now. Boards ripped down into strips. We got them all cut to length. I'll show you guys right here what we got. So you can see here, these cherries in the way. We got a bunch of strips, so we need to grab some pipe clamps, and then we're going to start fiddling and seeing if we can come up with a nice looking pattern. If you guys have never used these before, they're incredible. You get your 2 end pieces at any big box store. You can get them online too on Amazon. It's about $14 for a pair, and then you just get a length of your black pipe from Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever. Put your stuff in there, twist these. Perfect clamping setup. So let's see what we can do with these. See if we can get a good pattern going. So we got a pattern that I think looks really good. I don't think I've ever done one like this before. I think it's gonna look great. Let me show you guys what we got here. So I think this is gonna look incredible. It's kind of hard to tell right now when the wood isn't, it doesn't have any oil on it or anything, but once you oil it up, it's just going to be absolutely stunning. So we've got cherry. This is kind of a two-tone strip. You can see it's light right here, but then over here it's darker. That's walnut. We've got stacked maple and African wenge. We've got more walnut in the middle, and then these two strips of padauk. And that padauk is going to pop like crazy once it's all oiled. So next step is to actually glue it up and clamp it up, and then wait and wait and wait and wait. Alright, well there she is. It doesn't look like much right now, but it will. Once we get this all finished and we get it planed down and sanded, and we run a router over all the edges and everything, and then get it finished, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. You guys might notice that we've got clamps on the top and the bottom. If you've never done any woodworking, it's the basic idea is, if you were to only run clamps down here on the bottom, your board is going to start cupping. Where's my head? It's going to start cupping a little bit. So when you put clamps on top, you're evening out the direction that the clamping force is coming from. So your board's going to remain flat. You know, some people like to use cawls, which is, you can take a piece of wood, wrap some tape on it, put it on the top and the bottom, and clamp that right here. Keep it all straight. I don't do that. I never have an issue with it. I run it through the planer anyways, so we get it nice and flat. So there it is. We'll let her keep dripping glue, and this will be in these clamps probably 5-6 hours, and then we'll take it out and we'll run it through the planer. Alright, so the board is entirely dry now. Let me show you guys what we're working with. You can see here all this glue has gotten real dark. It's completely dry. So it's time to take this thing out and run it through the planer now. So we got the board all run through the thickness planer. Next thing that we need to do is sand this thing down, because although that thickness planer gets it pretty smooth, it doesn't get it anywhere near where we want it to be. So let me show you guys what we're working with now. Let's see. So as you can tell, there's no more high spots. All of those strips that were sitting up a little bit more are now knocked down, but we need to sand. So we're gonna run through 120 grit for the first pass. We'll get all those little imperfections knocked down. Then we'll do 240 grit. Once we do 240 grit, I'll show you what we do next. what we've got going on now is we just sanded the entire thing with 120 grit, and if you look right here, we've got a couple little spots that when you touch them, you can barely feel them, but they are noticeable. So I'm going to show you guys how we resolve that here in the woodworking community. Typically back in the day, what you would do is you would take wood glue and sawdust from the wood that you're wanting to fill, mix it together to make a paste, put it in there, let it sit for another 4 or 5 hours till it's dry. Obviously that wouldn't work here because there's no way to single out that Wenge sawdust, because when I sand, I'm taking sawdust off of all of these boards. So what we do now is this stuff right here, it'll focus, from Star Bond Adhesives. This is a colored CA glue. This is basically just a black super glue. And this stuff is incredible because when you pair this with the activator, it's dry in about 10-15 seconds and it's completely food safe. So we're gonna do that now. We're gonna fill these tiny little voids. So we just drop some in there, drop some in over here, hit it with this activator, and you can actually watch it dry. You see that? You can literally watch this stuff dry because it works so fast. Sometimes like on that bottom bubble there, you'll see a little bit come out, but it comes right out onto activator, so it's completely dry in a couple seconds. So I'm gonna give the entire board a once over, see if there's any more tiny little cracks that we need to fill, and then we need to take this over to the miter saw, trim off these end pieces real quick, and then we'll keep sanding. Alright, so the board is sanded now with 120 grit and then 220 grit. It's feeling pretty smooth. We're not done yet. The next step that we need to do is we need to run this thing through our router table. What we're going to do is we're going to put a 45-degree bevel on all of the edges. That just, it helps knock the corners down. It helps make the entire thing just look better. So we're going to do that. First, though, I want to show you a helpful shop tip. You probably won't find this anywhere else. So here's what we got going on. As you can see, I have this 8-foot table that I use. This is my assembly table. It doubles as the outfeed table for the table saw. And what we got going on right here is we're really busy right now, so I got a ton of stuff out. Down here is our router. This is the router station. I obviously could not run that board right here, so a pro tip from me who's a professional is, in order to get this space clean, we're going to take this stuff and put it right there. If you work in a tiny shop, you know exactly what I'm doing right now. There is no other option, unfortunately. I wish that we were in a big commercial space so I could have room to move. Unfortunately, that's not where we are. I am working out of a single car garage, and we gotta make room where we make room. So, get all of this stuff out of the way. And like magic, now you've got an easy, clean work surface. So we're gonna take that board, we're gonna run it through here real quick, get all these edges knocked down, and then I'll show you guys the next step. Alright, so we got all those edges knocked down. Let me show you guys real. And this right here is what the router did. It put a 45-degree chamfer on all the edges. Makes the board look better, makes it easier to handle. You're not going to poke yourself with these sharp corners. So what we do now, the next step is probably the most crucial step to making a cutting board or anything like kitchen oriented that you're going to have in your hand all the time, is to pop the grain of the wood. It doesn't matter what you do up to this point. If you skip this step, your project's going to turn out terribly. Popping the grain is the easiest step, and it's the most critical step to making a good cutting board. All it is you spray the board down with water. You spray the board, you don't have to super saturate it. Just make sure that the entire board touches water and then let it dry. Those tiny little wood fibers are going to soak in that water. They're going to stand up straight on end, and then you go back and you sand it again. You knock them all down. Once you do that, the entire thing's going to be smooth as glass. So we're going to do that now. I like to do my branding while we're doing this step, because when you get the wood wet and then you brand, it just turns out better. You have less chance of actually burning the board or creating any weird discoloration around it. So let's do that right now. I'm going to pop the grain on this board, and then I'll do the branding as well. Alright, so this branding iron is just about hot enough. I've been sitting here holding it for about maybe 3 minutes. So I'm going to show you guys how we do this now. The first thing, I'm going to brand this thing first. It's just easier to do it that way. And then once it's branded, we'll pop the grain. I'll show you guys what that looks like. So let's switch her around here with one hand. Oh my god. Let me find an angle. Maybe. There we go. Alright. Get that bottle out of the way. So what I do is literally this. I have a spray bottle with some water in it. Spray the board, make sure it's wet, and then we're going to brand it. Easy as that, my friends. And then we're gonna take this little thing, put our brand up here so that it does not burn through our table. Oh my god, maybe it will. Maybe it's one of those days. And then what we do is, see right there, it dried the wood out around it, but it didn't leave any discoloration, which is what we want. So then we take our spray bottle and we're just gonna spray down the rest of this board. This step is cool too because it kind of gives you an idea of what it's gonna look like. It doesn't look the same as when you put oil on it. Oil just brings out all that beautiful color in there, but it does give you somewhat of an idea. So just like that, spray it down, wipe it down, make sure that all of the wood gets coated. And I gotta put you down for this next part because we need to get these end pieces too, that's crucial. Let's see if I can show you over here. Put that down. Buy a spray bottle that works, that might help the situation. Alright, there we go. So, the entire board is wet now. Got some sawdust on there, that's fine. So we're gonna let this sit now, probably 10-15 minutes, and it'll be dry, and then we'll come back and we'll sand the rest of it down. Alright, so the board is completely dry now. Let me flip this around. That's what we have. You can tell it looks really dirty, like there's almost a film on it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna sand it with 320 grit, and then I don't know if the other camera's gonna pick this up, but you guys should be able to see it almost starts looking glossy, like there's a shine to it. So hopefully it'll pick that up. Let me run through the sanding and then we'll touch base and I'll show you guys how we do all of our finishing. Board is looking beautiful now. It's smoother than glass. I was gonna say it's smooth as glass, but it's not, it's smoother. So now the last thing that we have to do before we're ready to finish this, it's completely sanded down, it's all good to go. We need to drill holes for the feet. We use these tiny little, there we are. These tiny little cutting board feet. See them right here? These are a hard rubber, and let's see if we can get it to show up on camera. Inside of there, you can see a little bit of the reflection. There's a stainless steel washer embedded into this rubber. Something that a lot of people don't do, but we do it because I just don't like the idea of selling a cutting board and then having the actual rubber foot pull off from the stainless steel screw that holds it in. So those little washers are incredible. They prevent that from happening. They make the board stronger. So we gotta drill some holes real quick, and then we'll get these feet attached, and then I'll show you how we finish these boards. So I totally lied on that last little clip there. We don't attach the cutting board feet yet. I misspoke. We're gonna finish the board first, and then we attach the cutting board feet at the very end. We switch this around, and I'm gonna show you guys the best part of making a cutting board, which is the oiling up at the end. So the way that I finish is I start with the very first coat. I'm just going to use food grade mineral oil, let that do a deep soak. After that, I'm going to use a mineral oil and beeswax blend, let that soak in, polish that out, and then for the third and final finishing coat, I'm going to use a beeswax and mineral oil blend again, but the third coat has significantly more wax in it. It's primarily wax with just a little bit of oil. And what that wax is going to do is, once the oil is all soaked in, the wax is going to rest on top of the board. It's going to fill in all those tiny little microscopic pores in the wood so that water and soap and bacteria can't soak into it, and just provide an extra layer of protection for the board. So let's get some oil on here. Moment of truth. We'll see how this board turned out. Here we go. That is beautiful. You can notice, if you'll see right here, when you get oil on this African Wenge, it goes completely jet black and it's just absolutely stunning. Yeah, that is a pretty cutting board right there. That turned out incredible. So we do that, we'll flip her over, do the other side as well. It's been a few hours, so this board is good to go. I went ahead and I did the second coat. It's the same exact thing that we did on the first coat, just with a different blend of oil. So I went ahead and did that. Let me show you guys that. There she is. And you can tell some places, like right in here, it's all dry. It's soaked up as much as it's gonna soak up. So what we're gonna do now is I'll show you guys how we put the feet on real quick, and then we're gonna hand polish this thing with the wax blend. Just a basic rag, that's all you need. This is a blend, as you can see. It's wax, you know, there's a little bit of oil in it, but it's primarily wax. So this is a final step for our cutting boards that we do here in the shop, is we'll take this stuff, start applying it all over the board. It's gonna look real cloudy until you get it nice and polished in. So we just do this, and we literally hand polish the boards. Every single board that comes out of our shop gets the same treatment. All right, my friends, there we have it. Is a complete Artisan cutting board. This is the extra large, so it's about 12 inches by 22 inches. That's how we make them. There's not a lot to it. There's nothing special. You know, it's pretty straightforward, but we love doing it. It's loads of fun to see something go from what we saw in the beginning of this video, which is just a bunch of rough cut lumber, to something like this. And it's really exciting knowing that, like, this is for an order. Someone already purchased one of these. So it's really exciting knowing that something that I have the ability to make is going to go to a family and help them, you know, prepare meals for however long this cutting board lasts, which should be a long time. So yeah, I hope you guys had fun in this video. We're going to be making more of these. I don't know how often they're gonna come out. We're super busy in the shop. We just keep getting more and more slammed with orders. So, but I will try to bring you guys along and show you a ton of the other projects that we make, because we make a ton of stuff in here. It's not just cutting boards. We have, I think currently we have over 160 products in our shop, and I have plans to hopefully double that in the next 3 or 4 months. So yeah, we'll bring you along. Thank you guys for stopping by. Please like this video and subscribe and share it around and whatever you want to do. We're not big into paying the beast for advertisement, so any organic growth that we can get, we really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, bye.